live. And hi, folks. We are live. Two people in the... Oh, and this is the box that I need. Hang on a second. I'm getting there. Sorry, ain't that sounds loud. I have a friend with me. Okay, I'm gonna figure out how to do this without killing the back. Okay, there we go. There we are. Okay. I'll try to get that in. I got a lot of changes going on, so all right. Are we there? Are we here? Okay. I don't know if we're gonna be able to hear you or not. Speaker is off. Why is speaker off? Oh, I get it. Okay. I'm wondering if there's a way I can turn this up. Okay, well, I guess not. So I'm going to put this... Oh, you're still here. That I heard, but I can barely hear you. Okay, so I was gonna try to have a conversation with a friend of mine. Her name is Amy, and talk about soul families and... What is that doing that? Soul families and ancient soul families. And what else? I wanted to go back over the question that a gentleman named Joe with the last name of S had asked earlier. And now when there's much more time to do all of this and deal with all of this, and apparently YouTube and internet are all working properly, finally, or appear to be working properly. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Welcome to Restore Belief with Nikki Jacobs. Obviously, I'm Nikki Jacobs. I'm a psychic medium and an ET abductee and experiencer, and deal with the paranormal and all sorts of stuff. And I don't know. So, Amy. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out where my microphone is on this. Oh, there we are. Okay. Okay, so you're still here? Okay. Okay. And if anybody comes in, please let me know if you can hear Amy properly. So it won't be loud. And I have things on the computer, but I do not have everything set up to bring somebody in. I don't even know how to begin to do that on YouTube. I know there is a way. Not even sure how to begin to do that. So let's see. I have top chat up. Let's go to live chat. Live chat. All messages are visible. No. Okay. Not even sure how to go about doing that. All right. Well, that's fine. Apparently, I don't have access to that feature yet. Okay. So, were there any questions that you may have had for me, Amy. And hopefully I can. Yes, yes, no, no. Uh-oh. I'm not hearing you at all now. Are you there? You're still there. Okay, I did hear that. Okay, so that is a little bit better, yes. Yeah, that's definitely better. I can hear you better now. I had no idea my sound was so off when I don't have headphones plugged in. Um, oh, that might be a thing, although I've not quite. All right, so anyway, soul families. What we were talking about, or what I was talking about this afternoon, was that um, soul families can be folks that you know from the other side. They are loved ones. They can be biological family in this lifetime. They can be friends. They can be lovers. They can be all different kinds of relationships. I've got soul family that is living uh, this lifetime. I've come across a number of people. Welcome, Christopher. How you doing? Let us know if you're able to hear me clearly, and if when Amy talks, if you're able to hear her as well. So soul families, for example, I'm going to use my lifetime as a prime example. Um, I've come across a number of folks, um, both men and women, usually women, that I've had numerous lifetimes with. I've got one that is actually, I've got two that were sister. Whoops, hello, that was weird. I just had another glitch, a second glitch. Interesting. I am doing okay, and your sound is perfect. Oh, good. Thank you, Christopher. Um, so I've had two women in my life who are from the same past lifetime, and they were at the time sisters of mine. Um, they were women, and I was a male. And there's a gentleman that is in this lifetime. I don't know if he would be classified as soul family. Well, yeah, actually, he would be, because he's a friend of mine. And he was a scientist in a time where I was uh, head of a major organization, shall we say. And so he and I knew each other from that timeline. I literally have this sensation of being a woman in that lifetime, but I honestly could not tell you. I do know somebody else that was a female in that lifetime. That is, I've had numerous lifetimes with that person, female this lifetime. And interesting thing is that we've all had different lifetimes together. I mean, it fascinates me how it all comes together. There was a gentleman that I did talk about last time, that we the I guess second part of this from earlier this afternoon. he and I became very close friends, very, very close friends, and we couldn't figure out what the dynamics were between us. We just knew that, and then I had what I call a psychic hit. Hello to whoever came in. I appreciate you coming in. Feel free, sit down, grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or whatever, and listen in, and feel free to comment in the chat. And this gentleman uh, ended up very short amount of time after I had met him in this lifetime. I had what I call a psychic hit, and why I call it a psychic hit is because these psychic memories and psychic visions, they literally hit me very hard. Some of them literally will knock me out. Either knock me out unconscious wise, it's very rare, but it has happened, or will knock me off my feet where I'm grabbing onto a wall, a counter, a chair, whatever I happen to be around. And so I had this psychic memory, flashback of he and I in a past lifetime. And we were brother and sister in that lifetime. Actually, very famous brother and sister in that past lifetime. Only I didn't know that we were all that famous. Back then, we were extremely well known, and now we've made history books. So I've been in a number of lifetimes where I or others that I've known have made the history, literally made the history books. I mean, you could look us up in different genres of subject matters, and you'll find us. I mean, it just boggles my mind. And the things that he and I both knew, and he was like, when I first told him that, he was like, "Wait a minute, do you have any idea how rare that is for a female in that timeline to?" And he went and looked it up, and he was like, "There could only be one of three." And at first he told me one of six, or two of six, and then one of three. And it was a mind bog. I mean, it just totally boggled my mind. It mind bender. That's where I was going with that. Anyway, so here we have this conversation, and a short time after that, 1 to 2 weeks, no more than 14 days, and he starts having flashbacks, and he's like, we need to have a conversation. We have this conversation, and he starts talking about remembering that he and I were warriors in past lifetime as ETs. And it was interesting because I was starting to have flashbacks, and I'd never told another person about that. And he brought it up, and I was like, when did you have that? Well, basically, within 3 days of each other, we had essentially the same set of memories where we were in hand-to-hand combat, and we literally had each other's back. So when you talk about soul families, and in that lifetime, we were ETs, what as humans would call an ET. We were literally in hand-to-hand combat, and there were other times where he and I were in semi hand-to-hand combat, but it was with energy type weapons. So you can have numerous different, and in this lifetime, he was a very dear friend. But in those lifetimes, he was family. He was biological family. So, and it's like that with these couple of women that I know. We were biological family during a very specific time in history. And, well, not we. The two of them were female, I was a male. So, but we were biological family. And in this lifetime, we're friends. I'm the key component amongst the three of us. So, um, I know each of them individually. And so it makes things very interesting in that regard. So you can have numerous different relationships with people in the timeline that you're living in and end up not understanding why you've got a real connection with a person. You can't quite put your finger on exactly what it is, but there's something there. Now, this is what I know about relationships, even like that. You can have that relationship where, like I had a relationship with a friend, female friend, who she and I parted ways. And I knew, and I couldn't put my finger on why I felt like I'd known her all my life. I mean, like, really had known her all my life, and different members of her family that I knew. Um, and it's because we had a couple of different lifetimes together. And we ended up, um, okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Amy. Um, we, we had to end that relationship, um, because it became a very unhealthy relationship, and I had to walk away. And so that can happen in, soul families. I mean, it's just there's only so much that one um, can do in a lifetime. So, but the fact that we came together and were very good friends for 17 to 19 years, that's kind of a big freaking deal. Um, so there's the kind of like the conundrum. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, you can have a relationship with a person, and even as a soul family, and still part ways. Um, so um, Christopher saying, this reminds me of the dream I had about my pal hearing the song "God Will Till We Meet Again." Yes, Christopher. Very, very similar. Um, so you can have soul family. It doesn't mean that that soul family member is going to stay with you during your entire lifetime, but they can. Now, if they're on the, and what I mean by they can, I mean in this physical lifetime. Um, but what I also mean is that regarding soul family and ancient soul family, you can have soul family and ancient soul family on the other side, and they can come in to protect you. I'm going to again use me as an example for that, where um, sorry, got a brain fart going. I've had a odd series of health issues. Speaking of which, I want to say a huge, heartfelt thank you, and I love you guys tremendously. Thank you so much to my chiropractor and his staff. Mwah. I was not doing well after my last live broadcast, and went in and saw my doctor, and he did the adjustments that were needed and made some recommendations, which I followed through on. And I was in really bad shape. By the time it wasn't good. So I followed suit, followed his directions, and I can think clearer. Things are better. I'm still having brain farts, but part of that is from the yeah, I sound, yeah, Christopher's saying you sound so much better. Yeah, I do. And it's because of combination of his treatment and his recommendation of using heat. He was telling me that I wasn't having um, proper blood flow through a certain section of my spine and part of another section of my back. And if it hadn't have been for my son and somebody else many, many years ago, um, which thank you to the two of you, they bought me for a Christmas gift one year these phenomenal, they're called Body Comfort. Body Comfort something else. I can't fully read it from here, but they're a hot cold pack. Robert, hey, welcome, Robert. They're a hot cold pack, and so if you twist and flip this little metal button in it, it literally turns the hot cold pack to ice, and you get freezing throughout the thing. And then if you boil these, put a towel so that you don't melt the plastic, and literally boil it for 12 to 15 minutes, and then let it cool a few minutes before you wrap it in a towel and put it on your body. Boy, within about 4 seconds, I had my lower body relaxed almost immediately, and I started to be able to think a lot clearer. And I used that for about 5 minutes longer than I should have, but so for 25 minutes instead of 20 minutes, and it made an incredible difference. Yes, I still have a headache, but I don't have a migraine. I'm not having flashes of light. My stomach, I'm not about to throw up, that whole kind of thing. So it really made a significant difference, and I love you guys tremendously. You guys are wonderful. He and his staff are just phenomenal. It's now almost 2. Speaking of medical, I'm not going to read that out loud, but I do understand. Yeah, I was having problems with my blood sugar and everything with all of this on top of everything else. So this really made a significant difference. Anyway, so back to the soul families and ancient soul families. So on the other side, your ancient soul family that you've had from thousands of years ago, or 1,000 years ago, or 800 years, whatever, can come in to protect you in this. I mean, they can stand by your side and stand like a, a battalion, ready to help fight with you. And if they're needed, you can't call on them. You got to do it a specific way, and how to go about that. I'm not going to get into that right now, but maybe sometime I will talk about that. But there are ways to go about having protection from the other side. Was one of the ways that I dealt with the asshats, the folks that I call the asshats, that are extremely deep black ops psyops. We're not talking ordinary psyops or ordinary black ops, excuse me. We're talking really deep psyops, but black ops. And they were pestering me, and I went, okay, I'm done. No more of this shit. No more of the crap that you're putting me through. I'm done. And I called on my ancient family, and I called on a number of others, and some of that, Yeah, Metter truckers. Um, so they caused a lot of issues, and I said enough. And I went in and contacted very specific individuals on the other side and basically got an army together. And I said, I'm done. This is unacceptable behavior. It's unconscionable behavior as to what they're doing and the kind of crap that they're pulling. And I said, I want my ancient family backing me up. And boy, did they ever. Um, it stopped for a while. And then I called on the ETs. And I was like, hey, you know what? You're putting me in the uh, hybrid baby program. I'm doing something for you. Turnaround's fair play. And they were like, no, no, no. And I'm like, oh, yeah. We're going to have we're done. Because Nikki's getting screwed up one side and down the other and not having it anymore. You guys want me to do this? I'm willing, I'll make a new agreement. And essentially, we made a new agreement, and they ended up teaching me a few little tricks. Beep, beep. Yeah, SOR is going to be on in about 30 minutes, between 30 and 40 minutes. So, anyway, that's what that message was about. And I don't know who's on tonight. Normally I have that figured out by now, but that's just not happening. Anyway, and my phone's acting wonky. I'm trying to do something. Get rid of that. Okay, there we go. So soul families, you can have a wide range of contracts and agreements that aren't necessarily soul contracts with with people. Sorry, I'm trying to get here we go. Move that, and I need this on my back. Speaking of which, a moment ago, I'm gonna wad up a towel and put behind my back because my back is starting to bug me a bit again. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so I honestly don't know where the concept of soul families came from. I would like to know, but I've never really delved into that hardcore wise. Yes, Christopher, almost like a promise for when I see them again. Yes. So your soul family, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be there throughout your entire lifetime. You may have an agreement that, like I found with my friend, my male friend, who's now on the other side. He was KIA, killed in action. And so, speaking of which, somebody made a comment on the other side, which is why I gave a glare. I owe publicly an apology to the spirit and spirit guide who I flipped off and gave the finger earlier to in part 2, because I really wasn't feeling good and I really didn't want to have to deal with being a psychic or a medium at that given second in time. It's one thing to talk about information I know about. It's another when I start receiving information and I'm not feeling good. I get a little cranky. And rightly so. I mean, seriously, rightly so. So that's kind of what took place with me flipping off the which wasn't me being exactly so nice. Um, so I did privately apologize, but I figure I should probably publicly apologize too. So I apologize. So that said, anyway, your soul family can stay in your life just like any of your friends, any of your family. They can come and go. Just because they're soul family doesn't mean that they're always 100% going to be there 24/7, 7 days a week. It doesn't work like that. Um, but you do have a contract with somebody on the other side before you incarnate, and that's a whole nother subject. I've talked about in the past and other episodes here, where you can have popping of the finger. Sorry, where you can have uh, go from one lifetime into another. I mean, you can literally die, and minutes later, I mean, it just right into another um, baby that's about to be born. I mean, it's like very. There are people that have been known to do that, um, and there are others that don't. Um, so that's something to take into consideration too. Is how fast. Okay, my phone's doing weird shit here. Um, how fast is somebody going to incarnate? Is that all the time? Is somebody going to do it that fast all the time? No, not always. There are occasions for it, for when souls do that though. Um, okay, that's a good question, Amy. I wonder if there is someone we contact on the other side with the equivalent of an uncle code word. That's a really good question. I don't honestly know that. I do know that information that was put out um, in the last 12 to 48 hours by a very well known family member of somebody who was extremely famous in the spiritual community, um, who talks about incarnation, talked quite extensively about incarnation, because the information came from a lot of different thousands of different people. So um, it is not really a good idea to stay in the era. You don't get enough time to learn. Question mark. Um, some people, it's kind of like jumping from one life to another. They're making that choice to do that. Um, for whatever reason, their soul wants to do that. And for whatever reason, usually when something like this is what I do know this hardcore, because it's been kind of like hammered into my head numerous different times. You have, when a soul does that, they usually have multiple lifetimes ahead. Not always, but usually is the case. They'll have multiple lifetimes all set up, all kind of like scheduled out, so to speak. And it's literally, they go from one to another to another to another without stopping. It's very rare. I know that. I also know that it does happen. Um, doesn't happen with everybody, because most people, most souls, will choose to stay on the other side to kind of like relearn a number of different things before they move on. Um, so, does that answer your question, Christopher? I certainly hope so. Um, okay, good. Um, but like I said, you can literally jump from one from one to the next to the next to the next, but it's all set up a very specific, that specific soul has set it up that way. Um, usually. Uh, Amy says, my last life to this one was direct with no stopover. Yeah, I understand that. I've met a number of different folks that do that kind of thing. Um, I've also, but it interesting because it's not, that's why I call it rare, because I haven't met a tremendous amount of people, but I've met enough to know that it does happen. Um, and it's just, it always is um, a mind bender to me, because for me personally, I what I remember that I have done is that I like to stop and stay a while on the other side. Um, I know that I did that from when I died in the, how do I want to say this? Because I don't want to reveal who I was, and I don't want to reveal who my family was. Um, I know that I did that for just a number of years, not a lot of years, under 5 years. Um, when I was murdered, um, when I can't even say that. Um, how do I want to word that? I'm trying to figure out how to word that. Um, but when I was murdered in that lifetime, after that lifetime, I stayed for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years on the other side. Well, between 4 and 6. Um, and then ended up going in and living through World War II. And then after that lifetime, I stayed on the other side for quite some time and ended up, because I was murdered in that lifetime as well, and ended up staying on the other side for quite some time. Um, and then came into this lifetime in 1968. So, yeah, it's just, things are fascinating, with soul lifetimes, with soul families. Your ancient family, like I talked about in part two of earlier this afternoon, uh, I had Isis coming to me. I mean, she came and told me that I was uh, essentially soul family, and I about fell out of my chair I was sitting in at the time. I had just come in from the living room. Over there is not the living room. Over there is the kitchen. Coming in from the kitchen into the living room, and I was just blown away. I was like, "Who are you?" And then I recognized her soul, and I was like, "Holy!" And I was really glad I had literally just sat down right when I was in the process of recognizing who she was. Um, yeah, same, Amy. Amy says, wow, last 3 lives for me, murdered each time before age 35. Yes, exactly. This lifetime's not that, but the last one was, the one before that was, and then the one before that, I essentially, in that lifetime, I died of, not pneumonia. I can't think of the name of it. Tuberculosis. And tuberculosis because I was essentially in another fucking concentration camp. Government placed, I might add, which is one of the reasons why I don't necessarily like what the US government does. But anyway, that comes from multiple lifetimes. I remember I have very detailed memories of that specific lifetime, but that's for another conversation. But soul lifetimes, um, my great aunts and uncles were with me in that specific lifetime. I know exactly who my great aunts and uncles were in that specific lifetime where we endured certain atrocities. Um, I know exactly who they were. Uh, and it's mind boggling to me. So, I mean, there are different things in a soul lifetime that you replay out until you've gotten the lesson. And then that soul essentially moves on in whatever fashion it moves on in. And then, yes, Christopher, kind of same freak out about I had about with, yes, that individual being in soul and biological family. Yes. I remember when you and I went through that. I mean, yeah, you had every right to freak out. Um, when you make realizations about who your family were in different lifetimes, when it's a really big deal, you have a certain amount of time that you need to digest the information. It is quite, it can really leave you in a mind bender for a while. Um, anyway, um, and you don't necessarily have to believe me. You can go in and, if you know how to do it, talk to the Akashic Records librarians. Um, Figure out, I mean, your soul has a record. Whoops, hello. I just hit a button and I just lost everything on my phone. Well, now isn't that fun? Hopefully not. Didn't lose. No, still there. Okay. Um, so you can, you don't have to take my word for it. Go in and talk to the Akashic Records librarians, that have, I still see and hear you. Oh, good. Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that check-in, especially after today. Oh my God, what a pain in the ass YouTube has been, combined with internet issues. Sorry, my back is banging the crap out of me at the second. Okay. And I just got a wave of nausea. Lovely. Tulip Fields, Mount Vernon, Washington. This is from a couple of years ago. This was their mug from then. I don't know if you can see this. Hello. Well, I'm just going to promote them because hello. Okay, let's see. Tulip. There we go. Tulip Fields. That was the artwork that somebody had created. So, anyway, one of my favorite mugs. I think that was from 4 years ago. I think. April. Doesn't say what year. Anyway, I don't drink Coca-Cola very often, but when I get nauseated, it's one of the only things that settles my stomach down. Then I got really sick. I was really, really sick, and I hate having to drink Coca-Cola, but it's what works. So, and Propel, that's where Propel stops working for me. Anyway, so past lifetimes, past soul families. So you're check out the Akashic Records librarians, ask them, if you know how to do that. If you don't, find somebody who does and find out the different information. I mean, I can do it, but I usually have to demand. I don't just ask, because if I ask, then it can usually take me 3 or 4 days before I hear back. Um, unless it's like an emergency type of situation. And I can go over there, but I have to be in the right state, and I haven't been in the right state. There you go. Amy says, I think of the meme, quote, I don't drink Coca-Cola often, but when I do, it's in a tulip mug. That's great. I love that. End quote. Thank you, Amy. I love that. That's a great thing. Matter of fact, I might just do a picture with that quote on it. With your permission, of course, because you thought of it. Anyway, so yeah, um, there are things that you can do to find out about your soul's different lifetimes. And it can be a process. I mean, don't expect that. Here's something that drives me nuts. Folks that don't know think that the information is just readily available. Yes, it's readily available, but there's so much of it. They don't just go back through the lifetime that you're living right now. You need to be very specific, and they're very legalistic. The other side is very legalistic when it comes to certain things. This is one of them. I highly recommend you write up a script, a short script, repeat it as a mantra, and use that and say, hey, I, this is the wrong way to go about saying it, but it's got the idea across. You just go about saying, hey, I'm Nicole Jacobs in this lifetime in 2023, and I want to know about my past lifetimes from the time of 1838 and earlier. And just repeat it as a mantra before you go to bed. You might be surprised. You might end up the librarians might end up showing up in your dreams and providing you with information, or you might get taken on a jaunt in your dreams, because consciousness is very different in your dreams, which is one of the reasons why the asshats use sleep and dreams to access people. Because your consciousness, you have a form of consciousness that is asleep with your body, and you have a form of consciousness that is awake and is, if you're really prevalent in being able to maneuver your consciousness while your body sleeps, there are a lot of things that you are capable of doing in that form of higher consciousness. And one of them is going to the other side without being physically dead and going into the Akashic records, the library. And the library is vast. And it's beautiful. Oh my God, it's beautiful. So it's funny because I think there was this one woman who was describing, oh yeah, I've been there a number of times, and quite often, in fact, and she talked about this tree that she likes to take her basically their file folders that one of the librarians had given her, and she'll go and she'll sit and she'll read a file on herself under this specific tree. And it cracked me up when I first heard her talk about this, because I remember a similar tree that she described, and I was like, oh my God, that's right. And there's this and there's that. And this is, and it's kind of a mind bender. So there are things that you can do. If you don't know how to do them, work on finding out how to do those things. Work on having what's it called, Amy? Whatchamacallit, sleep. Oh, crumbum. Lucid. Work on figuring out how to create lucid dreaming for yourself. Every person is different. Every person deals with lucid dreaming different. So, I mean, you'll have a lot of similarity. My tailbone is really starting to hurt again. You'll have a lot of similarities and then a lot of differences. Hang on, let's see if I can reach this. And is it still warm? Yes, it's still warm. Ouch. Bodycomfortshow.com. These babies are incredible. I highly, highly, highly recommend these little buggers. One of these is expensive little suckers, but God, they are worth their weight in gold. Okay, so hopefully you don't hear me scream. I might just have to put me on mute for a moment. Maybe. I gotta move this onto my tailbone. My tailbone is just freaking the F out. Woo! Okay. I think that's gonna work. Okay, and sorry for the noise. Okay, ow, oh. Woo! Okay. I'll read that verbally in just a minute, Amy. Okay. And there's a lot that I'm in the process of changing in the background, so you'll see a lot of different things in the next coming weeks. A lot of different things will be changing. Okay, Amy says, and if you have access above that, or there any snafus in the Akashic library, there are higher level beings that know things. Yes, fantastic recommendation, Amy. That is a really big freaking deal. Oh, drive me nuts. Keep touching my forehead a lot, and there's nothing wrong. It's just all right. We're gonna comb it out. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna do this on camera. Deal. It's just one of those things. It starts driving me nuts. All right. So, yes, there are hierarchy beings that can, if you've got something wrong in your that you know that is not correct, exactly correct. You you can get a correction from those higher level beings, and they can work with the Akashic Records librarian that actually took the notes. Because everybody's got an Akashic. Everybody's got an Akashic Records librarian. Actually, they've got more than just one, but that's beside the point. You have a number of them throughout your lifetime. Every action that is done. Yeah, Christopher says I've been there a few times. To the Akashic Records, yes. Everything, every word that is ever spoken, even thoughts, are written down in the Akashic Records library. All your thoughts, figure that one out. That's frightening to me. I mean, think about all the, okay, here's something. Something I've never talked about publicly, but think about all the psychotics, the psychopaths, the killers, the serial killers. All of their stuff is in the Akashic records. That is some pretty frightening shit. Um, Everything is there. It's not just for anyway. So everybody's got their own. Whoever just came in, hello, welcome to Restore Belief with Nikki. We're talking about soul families and ancient soul families, and right now we're talking about Akashic records. So if you've got yes, Robert White is saying all the murderers to be are in the records too. Yes, they are. All of them are. Trim my bangs again. It's driving me nuts. They're all in there. I mean, it. I'm not mentioning names. Please don't do that. Sorry, I'm having an argument with somebody on the other side who's trying to get me to say a specific name, and I will not do it. So if you don't stop it, I'm going to make you leave. You do not want me to make you leave. Beep, beep, beep. The Darkness of Monsters and something is on. That's what that notification was about. Oh, Varla Ventura is on tonight. And Those That Haunt. Anyway, 6.2 earthquake near the Fiji region. Yikes. That's a big one. So with the Akashic records, you can have a lot of different pieces of information on your life that if you want to go and look at, you can do that with your higher, as a form of your higher consciousness. Excuse me. It's good to do it when you meditate, and it's good to do it in your sleep. Somebody's making a smart ass remark. Sorry, I'm trying to ignore it. There are. No, that's not Robin. No. I thought he moved on. Kinnison. It's like, wait a minute. Kinnison's loud. That's not Kinnison. Anyway, so there are many different forms of dealing with soul records and learning about your own soul records from every lifetime. And you can find out accuracies as well. And if you know that something, and Amy was right in that, if you know that something was inaccurate, you can actually have a higher, and it gets really messy, but it is doable. I've known it to be done. But it is doable. You can have the Akashic records, certain aspects of it, altered if you know that something did not exactly happen the way, because of how the notes were kept, which is going to cause issues with the Akashic records librarians, but it because they're very legalistic, just like the ETs. The ETs are extremely legalistic. The other side is very legalistic when it comes to things. And by legalistic, I mean, wow. Contracts are hard to break. They can be broken, but they are hard to break. whether that's ETs or soul contracts with another soul. There is some give and take in some of that, and then there's not. It just depends on the subject matter and what you might want to kibitz over. What else? I think we hit. Christopher, did you have any questions? Because I know this was a subject that you had wanted to hear more about, and I could have sworn, if you're still in the chat, I could have sworn there were things that you had wanted to ask me about. But I can't think of. Yes, you are still here. Okay. Are there questions that you have for me that we can talk about publicly? Because they may be questions that other people may have had. Okay, I'm being shown again the rebirthing. Yes, you can actually. I'll ask that in just a minute. I'll verbally ask that question in just a minute. So there was one of the things that I got really upset over earlier in part 2 was when a spirit guide combined with a another spirit were very hardcore and pestering me while I was not feeling good. And that's when I get a little on the cranky side and a little on the bitchy side, depending upon how insistent they are. And they were very insistent that I give information out about rebirthing. Because for some reason, somebody that is going to watch this at some other time was going to need to hear about the rebirthing idea. That's not my forte when it comes to counseling stuff. I'm not exactly in full agreement with it, but if it works for somebody and they need that, then that's for them. That's on their private stuff. But whoever this is for, I keep getting shown over and over again in a counseling session or a series of counseling sessions, a rebirthing situation, and for whatever reason, it's necessary and needed for whoever this person is. I don't know the name of the person. I don't want to know the name of the person, but whoever it is, whether this is somebody who's here now or somebody who is no, I'm being told it's somebody that's going to be seeing this at some point. Okay, so oh, come on, stomach. I know. No nausea anymore. I know we're getting the headache back and the eyes and the migraine. Don't start with me. Enough. I want to get done. So whoever this is for, you've got a spirit guide here and a spirit who has been insistent that you research and look into and talk to, if you don't already have a counselor, find a counselor and talk to them about this. I can't believe, sorry, this is not my forte, but this is spirit led and being talked to, and they're pestering. So whoever this is for, that is something that they want you to look at, is rebirthing, a rebirthing situation, but look into it to where it's healthy. It's not so far out there. You know what I'm saying? Because there's some counselors that are not so quality when it comes to this stuff, which is probably one of the reasons why this is ringing in a couple of alarm bells for me. What is going on with my internet? So just an FYI, think of it, look into it, do your research. Always, if you look into something like that, always, always, always do extensive research. Find out quality professionals. Okay. Um, wow. Um, yeah. Okay, they're done. They're done with that, and I'm done with that. So that needed to be brought up again. Um, yes, information can be given to me right now. The headache and is starting to go away. The nausea is starting to go away. So if you have more information for somebody else that you know is going to be watching, son or daughter. Somebody's saying my son or daughter is going to be watching. Couldn't quite grasp if it was a son or if it was a daughter. It's like they're going distance now. Anyway, all right. So I said I would get to this. Christopher is asking, I am curious, can one manifest meeting living relatives from your ancestors? Yes, you most certainly can. If you know how to manifest and focus on it, and my stomach is just wreaking havoc tonight. I'm sorry, guys. If you know how to manifest and manifest well, and put focus ability into that, I highly recommend looking into it before you start doing the manifestation, because not everybody might be ready or willing to meet family. So think about that. But yeah, you can manifest it. You can put energy towards that. Any other questions, Christopher? And for that matter, we have Christopher, we have Robert, we have Amy, and somebody else who has not popped in yet. So if any of you have any other questions, feel free and ask. I honestly, I don't mind answering. If, like I said in the second episode, if you have a question, ask me. Don't be afraid to ask. I will be glad to answer what I can. And if I don't know the answer, I'll freaking tell you I don't know the answer. I'm going to be real with you. And you never know. I might find, oh, hello. Somebody's reminding me about something I said at a location that I was at today. Conversation I had with someone, a gentleman, and only they will know what this is about. If you watch this, and this is specifically for an individual that I spoke to after 5:30 p.m., between 5:30 and 6:30 p.m. My clock is up here, so that's what I'm looking at, trying to figure out time. You had to remind me about something I had said. The person feels like parental. And if it's related to this one who's off to my right, well, they're not off to my right now. They're right in front of me. I can sense they're right in front of me. I can't see them. I'm not at that There's aspects of my abilities that come and go. So sometimes I'll see a person, sometimes I'll feel them, sometimes I will see them psychically, if that makes sense. Um, I'll read that in a minute. Anyways, so you had asked what you had asked me uh, who it was. This feels very parental. Um, I don't know. I don't remember our conversation from a number of weeks ago regarding that. Um, regarding everything I said, I've got it written down in notes, but I didn't expect it to be part of my conversation tonight. So, if you are watching this, um, the person is very parental. Um, feels female. They unexpected reading, guys. Sorry. For anybody who's listening and watching, this is very specific to somebody. Um, love you, proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing, but it's like continue on, quote unquote, continue on, continue on. I have no idea what that means. Only you'll know what it means. Um, and the phrase "do you," quote unquote, "do you," end quote. Um, wow. I'm connected, but they're not saying anything anymore. That's it. Love you. Wow. Okay. Um, anyway, they don't want to say anymore because it's public. I get that. Well, you can always tell me stuff. I'll write it down and I'll pass the info along. Um, wow. Okay, that was kind of cool. You had asked me if there was anything else, and there wasn't at the time. And wow, it's interesting how things come about sometimes. All right, so I'm going to read chat. I'm just kind of stymied by that. That's how it flows sometimes. Okay. Amy at Christopher. I'm drawn to, excuse me, a village in 2 countries. I am interested in finding cousins to meet. Christopher's response to Amy. Okay. And Amy is, aha, okay. Okay. Hey, Andrew. Howdy from Pennsylvania. Cool. So, Drew, you are in Christopher's territory. That's pretty cool. As always, my dear friend, stay safe. He's only 10 miles. So, oh, stop. My whole body is just freaking havoc tonight. So, all right. I'm not doing the ums. I believe last week I drove right by Hershey's Chocolate Factory from Hershey, Pennsylvania. Oh, that's cool. I just did the Alrighty. Oh, they're still here. Well, if you have information, I will be glad to write it down for them. Just that they're loved. Okay, quote unquote, just that they are loved. Okay. I'll repeat it back. I'll tell them to come watch. I'll just say at an hour, between an hour and 14 minutes. So somewhere in there. Okay. So what else were we going to talk about? Oh, Hey, my phone is still connected to. Um, Amy, was there any questions that you had for me? Whoops. Is my phone doing this? Any questions that you may have had for me that might relate, or other questions that relate to science oriented stuff? Hey, we might be able to get what's his name? Oh God. Somebody's being a smartass. Somebody just said Harry Houdini. That is not who I meant. Oh my God. Talk about that. That's not who I was thinking of. I was thinking of Einstein, Mr. Einstein. Sometimes he likes to pop in every once in a while, and first time it blew my mind, the second time it blew my mind, but we might be able to entice him to come in if we get into a real science conversation. Hang on, Amy, I'm not going to be able to hear you because that is really quiet. I'm going to put headphones on so that I can actually hear you, and then see if I can ask or state the question clearly. Yeah, 'cause I'm having a hard time. Okay, say it again. In call volume needs headset. My headset is turned on. What the heck? Yeah, Albert Einstein. Yes, exactly. Okay. Ah, I can hear you. Anyhow, uh, are your recently departed family, physical family, usually soul family? That's a great question. Okay, so I'm going to say this again. Are your recently departed physical family usually soul family? Yes. They can be. Matter of fact, I've never known them not to be. It's a different form. Okay, so if you've got family, now this is being called up kind of a combination of twofold here. I'm getting information from the other side, but I'm also getting information that I know that's being popped up because of this question, which is a great question. So the combination of all the information that I know and from the other side is that it doesn't always happen that way. It can, and it usually is, but it's not always that way. Just because you have a uh, blood relation, for lack of a better phrasing, doesn't necessarily mean that that blood relation is going to be a soul family. Now, some people are going to call bullshit on that. That's fine. But at the same time, it's not always, I mean, you still have a soul contract with that individual. But it's a bit tweaked and different. If I don't know how else to explain that. Yeah, Drew, it really is. I agree. It's really a good question. I know. Well, there's one person that I can think of right off the bat that their dad was not a. They had a soul contract with that individual, but the person that I knew when I was growing up would not have considered that person a soul family, a soul family member. The other side considers that individual a soul family member. The mother, they had she had 3 girls. So yeah, it really is a good question. Just because, now here's something. I'm going to use me as an example again. Um, in my teenage years, I would not have considered my dad part of my soul family. Growing up, is a bit of a, if I'd understood back then, I don't honestly, I don't think I would have considered him part of my soul family. As he got older, as I got older, we eventually started working things out. He went into, oh, you don't want me to say, I've talked about that. You don't want me to say it right now. Okay. He went into a program. I will say it that way then. And anyway, he went into a program and worked on himself. He was in his 60s. And he and I, because of the work that he did on himself, he came to me and started talking to me. And we eventually worked a lot of things through, not all the things through until after he died. He used to drive me nuts when we lived in this little white house that had one bedroom, but there were three of us in this little white house. And I'd go in to wash my hands or brush my teeth. And he lived in California. So, and this was before he was my spirit guide. And he would drive me up a freaking wall. I love you, but you drove me batshit balls out crazy with, don't keep the water running when you wash your hands. Don't keep the water running when you brush your teeth. It's a waste of water. Well, he lived in Southern California where they had drought for a lot of years. I mean, he lived there for more than 20 years. And it wasn't really until after my dad passed, which the drought thing, yeah. Get to that in a minute, Amy. So it made sense to me, and that's how I knew it was my dad, because, and my dad had a very loud, booming voice. Very, very loud. Matter of fact, well, no, that's too personal. I'm not going to make that statement. It's not really a personal statement, but it's nobody's freaking business unless it's for my family, and I don't even talk about it with my friends. So, but yeah, my dad had a very loud, booming voice and an incredible, deep, healthy laugh is how I'm going to state that. And he's laughing right now. I can feel it. Anyway, and so I knew it was my dad because of not just his voice, his presence. He had a very dominant presence. And so when I'm standing there washing my hands or brushing my teeth, I remember standing there giving a great big sigh, rolling my eyes, turning off the water, because he was standing not that far away from me going, Nikki, turn off the water. You're wasting water. There's a drought on. You got, and I could hear not every single word, but dang near every single word he would say. So it was kind of a big deal. And then he became my soul guide and my spirit guide, excuse me. And he became my main spirit guide. He took over from my grandmother, my mom's mom. And I didn't know how exactly that happened, but for years he was with me. I mean, he did not leave my side, and was not so happy of a camper when he made the realization that I was being abducted by ETs. So when he died, I didn't think anything of it regarding him being soul family, because I just knew he was my dad, and yeah, he was um, he was making sure that because he wasn't able to be there for me while he was alive, he was going to make sure that he was there for me in his death. And wow, has he been in living detail? So yeah, you when Drew talks about his dad, and his dad being um, you don't mess with his dad, it's like same kind of thing situation with my dad. It's like, you don't mess with daddy's little girl. You just don't. They are soul family. um, but yet then I have a friend who was a male friend who was horribly abused by his father, and he would never have considered his father a soul family. Um, that's where it gets a little wonky to me. Oh God, my tailbone! Owie, owie, owie! Sorry, guys. Whoo! I'm having. Whew. So, okay. So I want to get to um, Amy's thing. I know I would put my mom and Bethany, not sure I remember her directly, in this life, are a part soul family. In fact, they are the only ones I know of on the other side. Yeah. And the two of them love you. I know that. Um, yeah, Drew says, ha ha ha, Papa Bear. Oh God, yeah, my dad is very much a Papa Bear. It's like, you don't fuck with his daughter. You don't mess with his girl. And um it's interesting because I don't know how he is with his stepkids, because he was closer to some degree with his stepkids than he was with me in this physical life. So we've never talked about that, but he's definitely been there for me through thick and thin. And if there have been times where he finds certain help. So I know that what one considers a soul family versus what one actually is can be completely different in a person's mind versus what is reality. That's kind of a big deal, folks. I honestly do not have any memories of any other lifetime with my father. I know I've had numerous soul lifetimes with my mother, and numerous soul lifetimes with my great aunts and uncles. Um, I also know that I've had a couple of soul lifetimes with who was going to be my little brother. That situation was not to happen for a couple of very specific reasons. And so, and I know my stepdad is considered by me a soul family, but that you'd have to fight that one out with my dad. um, so, because my stepdad was there for me when I was a little kid. So, it reality versus what our opinions are and how we think of things. And there goes the stomach again. God damn it. Makes things really difficult. in what our own personal viewpoint is. So, anyway, we're an hour and a half into this, or almost. Give it a moment. And there we go. 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 1 second. So I think that was just a fantastic question, Amy. So if anybody has any other questions, I think we are. Oh, and you can have Soul Family with ET. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. I'm fighting through health issues tonight, obviously. I'll have to take some meds. Deal with this. This is not going to be fun. Anyway, yeah. So, ETs. That's where I was going. Yeah, you. Just because you're a human in this lifetime does not mean that you did not have a lifetime as an ET. So yeah, you can have ET or soul family who are ET. How's that for them apples? It's a hell of a thought process. I know I've got a few, and I know that I've got 2 on the other side. One of them is an ET spirit guide of mine. And I did not know that until a few years ago. Kind of freaked me out. Excused. So anyway, I was hoping to be able to have Amy. Well, this didn't work. I was really hoping to be able to have Amy on and talking during this, and yeah, I've got you on headphones at the moment, and it's the only way I can actually hear you. So it really sucks because I got to figure out a different way. Apparently, my speaker part is not strong enough on. Oh, why didn't I think of that before? Oh, I don't know if I've still got it. Hang on, folks. I'm gonna flip this like this. We're gonna turn me. I'll be right back. Whoop, 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 whoop. Maybe. Ouch. Okay, where are you? Oh, ha 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 ha. Why didn't I think of this before? I've got a little speaker that if I put, hopefully I've got enough battery power on it. Ha ha. Okay. So I'm going to unplug me. And I'm going to turn this speaker. I've got a little speaker boom box. It's very dirty right now. Turn this on. Do I have a blue light? I've got a blue light. Yay. Okay. I'm going to unplug the headphones, and then we're going to try and see if you guys can hear Amy. Hang on a second. I got to move the table, though, because I moved the table, and now everything's wonky. Okay. And I'm going to slide this out. I got a very old phone I'm working with. Okay, now, how did we do this? Okay, we do speakers over here and over there. And Amy, say something. Oh! Hang on. Hang on. I'm going to see where I can put you. Hang on, how we do this. Say hello first. Let's see if we can hear that. No, neither do I. I barely hear it. And I don't know why that is. Nope, now all I hear is fuzz. Nope. I hear you on my phone, but I'm not hearing you through the speaker, and I thought for sure I'd hear you through the speaker. Nope, it's really not strong enough at all. I barely even hear you in the speaker. Oh, see, that's good to know. Yep. Okay, I'm going to plug back in because this is not working. Ugh. Well, we tried. We tried. Hang on. Okay. All right. So you're plugged back in. Got that plugged back in. I will get this figured out eventually, and hopefully we'll have. And you were saying something to Christopher. Good luck or something with his. She was. Ouch. She was saying hi to Robert and hi to Gnome Drew, and very good luck to Christopher on his hello to Christopher, and very good luck on your manifesting family, which is pretty cool. That's actually really cool. Anyway, oh, I was really hoping to be able to have this. Well, I'll have to try something else next time. Anyhow, thank you, Amy. I really appreciate it. Okay. Oh, stomach, stop it. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna work on manifesting. Christopher, aim to Amy. Amy, I'm gonna work on manifesting to meet my relatives. Robert says, gotta sync the speaker to the phone. Yeah, it's not syncing. Well, it was, but it's not enough to where it's just not working. Christopher, I am aware that south of France and southern Africa are in a complete different timeline than here. Oh, you mean for your stuff? Yeah. This is going to be a massive spiritual project. Yes, it really is, Christopher. It will be the first time I did something massive outside of deliverance ministry. Yeah, yeah. I wish you a lot of luck with that, Christopher. That's a huge project. Any kind of project where you're manifesting that kind of thing is a really big deal. Focus on it. Ask your spirit guides, because you've got a number of spirit guides, and put it out there. Put it out into the ether, so to speak, and uh, put everything. Here's the key in manifestation: turn everything into a positive. Formulate it to where it's how do you say this? No negative words, no implication of negative words. Everything needs to be clear, concise, to the point. No wishy-washy words. No. God, I can't even think of wishy-washy words right now at this very second. Here is an example of manifestation. It's funny because I was just working on some of this. I have abundance. I have an abundance of loving, healthy relationships. I have money easily flowing to me. I'm not going to read that one. Money comes to me easily. Things of that nature. It's positive. There's no slant to it. There's no anything. There are so many aspects to this. in manifestation that one can do, it's kind of a big deal. And anybody can do it. I mean, seriously, anybody can do the manifestation. It's all about your intent. It really, really is. Anyway, on that note, I've talked a long time. It's been a rough day. Actually, it's been a rough week. So I'm going to go now. Get into a similar time zone that you are planning on going. Oh, stop it, stomach. Says Robert. Get into a similar time zone that you plan on going. Yes, I agree, Robert. Very, very much agree. On that note, I think it's time. Well, it's time to go. I hope you have a really good weekend, blessed weekend. Take very good care of yourself. I will do the same. Be good, but have fun. Take good care, everybody. Bye for now. I will see you next Wednesday.